Let me tell you a story, tourist. Every once in a while, when there isn't much going on, when I don't have a whole lot to do, and I'm especially bored at work, I will go on Reddit. And then I will go on the AC Reddit, the Armored Core Reddit specifically, and I will click on the PvP option, PvP tag, because every once in a while, people will post videos of what they're doing, and occasionally I'll find something kind of interesting. There is like a double shield guy, like he runs the EULE and a 61 PS with a pulse blade. I don't think he runs any other weapons. It just punches and shields and the sword, which is actually kind of interesting to look at. I do have to wonder how many matches he's losing to get those couple matches where he's winning, but hey, it's entertaining. A lot of times it's just people asking questions. Sometimes it's people just bitching. Sometimes it's A rank or B rank kite player just kind of floating around, looking kind of sort of like every other kite player that ever plays in existence. But what caught my attention was something that's very rare in the NA scene. You see, the NA scene has a big problem with sharing information and with educational videos. A lot of our stuff is very out of date. A lot of the people that were the proponents of this kind of information either retired, stopped playing the game for their own reasons, or were chased out of the community for other reasons. So this video kind of caught my attention because it looked to be kind of like an analysis of a video, analysis of a thing, like what double Zimmerman, like we're going to showcase a double Zimmerman build, and it's like, oh, okay, well, let's see what this is. What happened was 2 hours of the hardest watching in my entire life. It was rough for a variety of reasons, but I also saw an opportunity because the things on display are unfortunately pretty common in the NA scene, and I feel like I kind of need to take them out, put them in the front yard, and beat them with the belt, because we're way past this, guys. The game is 2 years old. This shitter mentality that is on display needs to be squashed, and we need to be better, because the mentality on display in this video is the main reason why the NA and EU, to a lesser extent, are way behind on sharing knowledge, on general improvement, and all that compared to JP. The JP community is incredibly chill. They share a lot of knowledge. They talk to each other. They play games. Their community is so much larger than the rest of the world that they could play games and have fine matches on entirely their server with no issue. And a lot of them do, because they just don't want to deal with the latency of putting it on global, which is funny because if the NA players did that, they'd still get latency because NA is just huge compared to JP. What can you do? One day from softnet codes with the world will probably likely be on fire. But aside from that, a couple of qualifiers before I get into this. One, I'm not going to personally attack the guy, or I'm going to avoid it at all costs if I can, because I don't know the guy like that. I'm too old and I don't have the time. I'm also not going to necessarily criticize his play, because from what I've seen, he's actually pretty competent. I think all his issues are his own, and I think if he wanted to, he could get by all of them and do whatever the hell he felt like. And three, I don't want anyone else coming after the guy, because unfortunately, I don't think he's unique. I don't think he's different. I think it's just an attitude that's existed since the beginning of the game. And while it was fine when we were a huge community of like hundreds of, that with like tens of thousands of players, we're down to like maybe a scant 1,000 on PC. I don't think PSN is much bigger. I think it's actually a little bit smaller. I don't really have a good way of checking the numbers on that. But, that's a mentality that should be gone. If not gone, it shouldn't be common. Unfortunately, it's a little too common, and I kind of want to discuss why that is a problem and why people kind of need to check themselves and really think about what they're saying and what they're doing and why it's not helpful. Also, I'm going to talk a lot about analysis, particular failures of analysis and how it affects your play, and specifically how it affects this person play, and how it's spreading like a great deal of misinformation and it is a lot of misinformation. There, like it hurt. It hurts so much for someone who's been in this community practically since the beginning to hear the words tossed out applied to the exact wrong things and exact wrong ways. It hurts. It hurt a lot. So, and another thing, I am primarily a PC player, so I wanted to make sure that whatever I said, I didn't necessarily talk out of my ass, because I do understand there are big differences between PSN and PC. Like, PC has a lot more LAN players than the PSN. PSN has a few more Toku Robos. Both are pretty relevant. Both are very strong. Also, PSN doesn't really necessarily deal with all that many boats. Boat, specifically Taka Boat, Lethal Dose, those are play styles that have to be played successfully on mouse and keyboard. Like, it's incredibly difficult to do those on controller to nigh impossible, unfortunately. So that is one, major difference. There's a couple of other little tiny differences, but, when I was talking about this with a couple of people, like, we were trying to discern the differences and, like, the obvious mistakes and things that I needed to really discuss, then, the difference between PSN and PC is tiny and not particularly relevant to what's being discussed here. So I got my game open because it's going to be a helpful educational tool. Unfortunately, the leaderboard reset the last night, so I can't really reference that right now. It would have been nice if I had saw this like a day or two ago when the leaderboard was like mature and people were just kind of struggling for like the bottom 50. But I think I do have all the pictures I saved from like 2 seasons ago, and the meta really hasn't changed all that much. Some like small developments here and there on certain builds, especially blue vams have kind of shifted a little bit here and there, and Toku. Main things I'm going to talk about. 1, I'm going to talk about analysis, why it's important, and what failures do to you. 2, I'm going to talk about mentality and why your own mentality can limit your capability, even on builds that could do what you want to do and be as good as you want to be. And 3, how you're supposed to showcase like a build, or rather how you're supposed to kind of analyze and talk about a build if you want to showcase it properly. If you want to show how something is overpowered, don't sit there and talk trash about it the entire time. Explain why it's good. Tell someone who is watching your video what is going on and why you're winning the way you are, and why it's about the build and not about your own personal skill, because like I said, the guy is pretty competent and he blames things on the build that had nothing to do with the build. They'd have something to do with his opponent like missing a particular opportunity. I saw that once and he's like, I'm sorry bro, it's the build. Like, brother, he beat you. He just missed like the last shot. If he hit you with that, he would have won. If you were on any build, you could have won because he threw. But we'll get in on that. I have my game open, like I said, because education is important. I believe in education. The guy wants to kind of turn this into a series, so let's help him with that. Because regardless of how shitty I think the mentality is, I do think what he wants to do is important. Right, I just don't want him to do it wrong, because if doing it wrong is more harmful than not doing it. Let's break out video, and let's talk about it. Okay, so first off, he calls this a Zen Blade. Or rather, he calls this a double Zimmerman build, a very common double Zimmerman build. And he wants to express why double Zimmermans are powerful. But a couple things. This, right off the bat, is not the most optimal Zimmerman build at all. In fact, let me find like a proper Zen Blade so you kind of understand where I'm coming from. Hang on, let me go through my magic notebook of like last season, or the season before last, you guys. I'm sure there's a Zen Blade somewhere around here. Lamb. Also, I want to demonstrate something. He was kind of going through the leaderboards. I want to discuss why going through the leaderboards is actually a little unreliable. I think this is 432 on his Wolf Bravo.
One eternity later.
Okay, here we go. I think this is it. So, this is closer to like a proper Zoom Blade. I think actually Big Piss runs something like this, but I think he uses a Pulse Blade. He's playing a much lighter version, you could argue. But I think even then, I don't think Albacore is the choice. Let's get started.
If not the most iconic meta builds in all of Armored Core 6. I tell you see these things everywhere. and they are everywhere for a very good reason, because just how friggin' overpowered they are, and just how easily they can win matches against most builds in the game.
Most builds. And he doesn't really explain why they're overpowered, which is kind of the thing you kind of want to start with. Small thing, it gets worse.
Greetings everyone, and welcome to World of Armored Core 6 PvP. It's me, Unit 102 Alpha here, and I'm starting a new series for you guys called Mass-Produced Monstrosities. In this series, I will be taking a look at a lot of the popular mass-produced meta builds that have been dominating Armored Core 6 PvP. From Dual Zimmerman to Toku Robo, we'll be looking at as many...
So, for the record, Toku Robo is very prominent on PSN. Dual Zimmerman, that needs to be quantified. That needs to be qualified, right? And I'm going to explain why right now. Dual Zimmerman, why it's powerful, is not because of any particular one reason, because all of its stats are better if you look at a different weapon. A Majestic is better than a Zimmerman, and that's why on a Tetra or a tank you'll see Majestic but not Zimmerman. A Larb is better than a Zimmerman, but only a handful of builds can run Larb because they need something like 20B or 20C, or in rare cases even 20D generators in order to like take advantage of the damage. So what Zimmerman is it's a do-everything weapon. Just so we can kind of see the stats. So we can kind of understand what we're looking at here. So the thing about Zimmerman and why it's a little bit different, what makes it a little bit different than its counterpart, the Haldeman, is, range and straight-up damage and stagger. Or mainly the impact. Impact is kind of what we're looking at. And it's the only weapon of any kinetic variety that does burst damage, that does burst stagger, importantly, that has a good amount of accumulated impact, which is important in a prolonged, stagger race, which a lot of the game is built around. It is a combo tool where stagger extends, one of the few weapons that can do this. Aldermans can also do this, for the record, as well as Sweet 16s and I want to say Charge Worker. There's a couple other weapons. I think bazookas also stagger extend. There are a handful of weapons that do, and those let you do damage so that you can get the most out of your stagger, which makes sense. They are a stagger-based weapon, not a damage-based weapon. That's what you want them to do. They take advantage of assault boost very, very well. They do not have a warning indicator, so they're a little bit harder to dodge. Still easy to dodge. Part of the reason that they have kind of fallen off of like the top of the meta to kind of at the top of the meta is that experienced players understand how to dodge Zimmerman. They look for the arm raise and they dodge that instead. Usually like a frame or two before the actual shot because of latency, but typically that's when they're dodging. That's why high level Zimmerman players have learned how to pump fake their shotguns. Fire, pull their trigger so the arm raises and then QB afterwards to force a QB out of their opponent, or do something else that'll cancel the animation and not fire the weapon, so it doesn't go on cooldown and you can fire again, or fake them again to try and waste their EN so you can actually start landing shots. It does splash into a lot of different varieties of builds. Zim Shield is a version of it. I think he discusses that. Zim Frog, or like the RJ Zim Shield, is also another version of it. Power Baka, we already discussed, is basically a rocket behind the Zimmerman. There's also Power Crab, which is Power Baka, but on Tetra. There's also literally every double melee build in the game. Double melee cannot exist without Zim. Zim is simply far too important as a combo tool, far too important as like a burst stagger weapon. Let's continue.
Meta builds as possible, and seeing what makes them tick. Now, of course, we're starting with Dual Zim. Again, one of the most popular meta builds, and it has quite a few variations. Like, dual Zims have a very big family. You've got basic biped dual Zim, and then that can have any number of additions, like a melee weapon or a shield, or maybe it could be a quad shotty swap. You could have
Almost forgot about quad shot. So, another thing to keep in mind is that he is kind of like treating this like every one of these builds is just like a simple thing, but they're wildly different. The Zen Blade that he's playing is very different from the one in top 100 in PC for like, a few months back. Quad Shot has practically been perfected for well over a year by Andromeda and his crew, like Artemis and Rorik. Rorik is still a prominent player on PC. One of the few quad shot players left. I think Donat actually is a EU player that plays quad shot. That build has not changed at all, and it's still the same Santai, ephemera head, ephemera arms, mind alpha, legs, and core with Santai, Wurzel, and it has not changed at all throughout any of the metas. And to its benefit and detriment, you could say. There's just not that much development in it. But I'm rambling on. The point being is that they're not one build. They are many builds on a core of like a good weapon combo, and they all play very differently. Understanding that is really the key to analysis. You cannot look at an AC's two weapons and decide this is just another X build. No, you need to see what's surrounding it and then determine how you're going to approach that fight. If you see quad shot, you can make a good assumption that they're going to assault boost a lot. Same with Power Baka. If you see a Zim Shield, assault boost may be part of it, but mostly they're going to stay within neutral and like use dodges and shields to kind of like play defensively and force you into like a brutal stagger punish. Zimblade is a much more aggressive version of that. And this is all really important for like high level play. Analysis is everything. And the complete failure to kind of recognize that or to kind of like generalize it is not the information you want to be giving people. We're not even, oh God, we're not even 2 minutes in the video. Fuck me.
maybe RJ with a similar setup. Then there's Power Baka, which in itself is another member of the Dual Zim family, but I'll be covering that abomination in a future project.
It is an abomination. There is no question about that.
See exactly what's
This is my favorite part.
Because, yeah, I want to show you guys just how many dual Zims are in the top 100. Okay, this is a Toku.
Let me repeat. Let me just repeat that. Those on PC are already banging their head on their desks. In fact, most high-level players are banging their head on their desks.
Okay, this is a Toku Robo. We'll be covering that one in a...
Alright. Toku Robo. That is not a Toku Robo. You can call it a derivative of Toku Robo, but the reason it's not a Toku Robo is very simple. Wurger is a much, much lighter weapon than Larb. It is also a much shorter range weapon than Larb. If you look at that, you will notice that it is a far more stat-dense, far more aggressive build than a Toku Robo. A Toku Robo is a kite that can brawl. That is not looking to kite you. If it kites you, it's by accident. It is looking to stagger race you and hit you with the meanest Wurger charge on the planet because it's powered by 20B. If it hits you with that, it is as devastating, if not more devastating than a melee. To call it a Toku Robo is to tell someone that, how do I put this? It's to tell someone that it really they can approach that fight the same way they approach a Toku Robo, and that's wrong. That will cause someone to lose. Do not fight that the same way as you fight a classic Toku Robo, because they are two different builds along the same philosophies.
Future project. That's Tetra. Nope.
That is a Tetra.
This is gonna take a little bit, but here's one now. It's a Zim Shield. It's 4th place. Yep, we were just talking about that. So see, there's one right there.
Yeah, it's one after the
Zim
4th attempt.
Shield. That's Mosquito. We're not talking about you or you.
That's very funny. so we'll talk about that quote-unquote mosquito thing in a second.
Huh, wasn't expecting to see Tetras like this. Oh wait,
Come to PC.
another Toku Robo,
That's not a Toku.
another Strider,
That is not a Strider.
Toku Toy.
That is a Toku.
Dear Lord, Toku Robo's actually becoming
That's double
more
melee.
popular. Double melee, 11th place. Build's not meta. Ah, Mosquito. We'll be getting to you later.
That's not a
as
mosquito.
well. Another Mosquito gun merchant.
Okay.
And I remember you, but Mosquito will be getting to you later. Oh my.
How's he going to analyze something that's complete 3 different builds? In one, unless he's playing all 3 different builds. This is cute. I actually like this. Fun. Also, incredibly annoying. We're looking at it. I already hate it.
God, cosplay build.
That would destroy you.
Ooh, another melee. But yeah. There's definitely a few.
That's a
dual
Toku.
sims in the top 100, but there's a lot more.
We're up to top 20, and you've only found 1. I think what you're seeing is more 20B.
Toku Robo by the looks of it. A lot more. Holy hell.
Hey,
Oh,
you found
there's
one.
Another dual sim. This one's top 20, so
You found 2.
up another dual sim, and it's an RJ Zim shield. So there's a few,
Different philosophy, same kind of build. I won't argue that
but
one.
clearly, Toku toys have taken over. They're the hot
Toku
new thing.
Okay, right. Let's talk about the hot new thing that's about 1.5 years old. Toku Robo has existed since, let me think. It has existed for 3-4 patches now. It existed for well over a year. It at first started as a LRB 20B Etsugen shield build that ran on TQ Core. And since they nerfed TQ Core, it's gone through a few changes. The ducats got buffed, and they decided that was going to be a much better weapon. It took a little while for them to switch to that, actually, because Etsugen had not been nerfed a couple of times by that point. It took the Etsugen nerfs for them to really embrace the ducat, because the ducat is better in the close ranges. Toku is not a new thing. Toku has been a prevalent build for a long time. It's just that a lot of people started picking it up, and more people picked up, and it's very prevalent on PSN. But it's not a new build. It's not a new thing. It has existed almost as long as Lamb has. Not as long as Zim Shield has, of course, because Zim Shield is like the baby of I want to say 432. I don't think any PSN player came up with it first. I could be wrong. I don't know that kind of history. But the first recorded sighting of Zim Shield was the lightweight Zim Shield. You did before he even finished his playthrough, but that's another thing. Just don't mind my history nerding.
Okay, so maybe it's not the top meta by the looks of it, but still, it's pretty iconic. It's one of the first ones I can think of. So let's do
Yes, it is.
dual sim, see how it works.
This is true. It is an incredibly iconic build. It is
Not expecting to see that many damn Toku toys on the leaderboards.
So when someone says this, I didn't expect to see X on the leaderboards, it kind of tells me already that they don't know a whole lot about what they're talking about. Just right away. That's a red flag to me. You could say it's surprising that this got that good, but we're late in the season. If you haven't fought that many Tokus, that means they're all in high level and they all got there the hard way. But yeah, there's also a bunch of lambs there too. And lambs don't really exist in A, if they don't exist all that much in PSN to begin with.
Alright, let's get this going, shall we?
I think we'll skip ahead some. This is a literal child.
Sweet 16s, a bazooka, and a chainsaw.
Oh, that's a little gem.
Sadly, with what I've seen, that unique build is gonna get destroyed. Mass-produced monstrosity.
That's a
Zimmer fool.
That's a great title drop, but I think you would kill this on even your regular build, because this is a literal child.
I like how I'm just casually roasting the meta builds with how I've named them. The series is called Mass-Produced Monstrosities, and this build is named Zimmer Fool.
You're in it. You're in the build. And like, I'd like to. I want you to point.
Look at that.
Yeah, that.
Absolutely no effort required.
Well, of course not.
Shoot, kick, maybe slash if they're staggered.
You're
It's just dirty.
You're clubbing a seal. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but I was really competent and clean play, so. And this man is trying to chainsaw you in neutral.
The double melee demon. This is... Yeah.
So this is kind of the mentality I'm talking about. Like, he's showing disdain for the build he's in. But he's kicking a puppy.
And again, sloppy, but still. Dual Zim dominates again. To the surprise of absolutely nobody.
I mean, I know a guy who uses nothing but punches and a chainsaw that would have killed this child.
Who? Hardly anybody brings chainsaw into ranked anymore.
Because it's bad.
I am especially sorry, Neptune Forever.
No, okay, so. Right. Quick thing about this. You can feel sorry. That's not a bad thing. But he's not sorry because he beat a child to death with a baseball bat. He's sorry because he's holding the baseball bat as opposed to beating the child with a brick. If you understand my meaning, both are going to get the job done. And also it's going to kind of mess with your mentality a bit, because what happens if you beat them just as easily on like your non-meta build? Or what happens if you're on the meta build and they beat you? Do you praise them? Or is it a problem with yourself? Or are you kind of like subconsciously limiting yourself because you see them as a unique build and yourself as kind of a meta build? It's kind of like, don't feel sorry. You can feel sorry that if you like crush them because you feel like you're crushing a child, but don't feel sorry for them because of what you're in. Something I want people to keep in mind is that everyone has the same choices. No one in any video game ever that isn't like pay to win has like wildly different choices from each other. That goes for games like Pokemon, that goes for things like Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Dota, League, all of that. Everyone has the same choices, and that it goes for you too. You have the same choices to play high-level builds. You have the same choices to play low-level builds. The thing you must understand is that when you step into ranked, which has like consequences for losing and rewards for winning, as minor as all of that is that the choices you go in with are the choices you're stuck with, and you can't be really angry at your opponent's choices. Nor should you really feel sorry for your own. If you're going in there to have a laugh, play something stupid, and have fun, go for it. If you want to go in there with the sweatiest thing possible and crush everyone before you, go for it. If you're like me and you're just trying to do different things and trying to like improve your own personal skill to a point that you're satisfied with, that's fine too. The point being is that you should not feel bad about what you are doing unless what you're doing is not fun. And if it feels like what he's doing is not fun, well, that's fine. If he's playing out for the camera, that's whatever. But if you're a new player looking at this, it's not really the right attitude to approach the game with.
All right. Who's next on the chopping block for this mass-produced monstrosity?
If you drop the title a couple more times, it'll be, I think the algorithm pick it up. Actually, I know this. We're gonna skip this. I don't know why he kept this in here. I do like the paint job on it. I don't hate that.
Hey, we've got a mosquito. Black haze.
Hold up.
VT, are they a VTuber by any chance?
1 hour later.
Yes.
Kuroshio Neko VT. Alright. Now, I'm not a fan of mosquitoes.
No, I'm not either.
So this is one meta build against another. It's almost like a Pokemon battle.
No. It'd be a Pokemon battle if these were like two similarly skilled players, but I'm afraid our Neo Evo Stature player is not very good.
That is a violent. Using a mass-produced monstrosity like this, ugh.
No dodging. We're dodging badly, rather. No resetting. Okay, there's the PA. That's good news.
Kick and shoot.
Oh, almost messed that up.
No real effort required with this build.
I mean, no real efforts required if they suck.
Lord.
They're just not very good.
Ugh.
Okay, so if he played that build properly, if the other guy played that build properly, he would have been spending more time going backwards, and whenever he would get distance, he would be trying to get that distance to keep it, because Etsugens are pretty effective, especially on a build that light that he's running, out to a pretty decent range. But for whatever reason, a lot of his shots weren't hitting. I don't know what sort of FCS is running. Probably something like Walt or Talbot, but he was staying within 20 meters. And he wasn't like playing really properly. Unfortunately, while he was on a meta build, he's not a very good player. And honestly, I did see his channel. He doesn't really play AC6 all that much. He was probably just trying to get S rank before the end of the season. Where are they at actually? Let's see. Hang on. Yeah, I think he was just trying to get S rank before the end of the season. So yeah, like that'll happen. Yeah, you skill diffed your man.
Ugh. Well, that's honestly pretty terrifying. I mean, it's got good damage output, good stagger potential, good stagger punish potential. This thing is a bit of a monster.
Yeah, it's a good build. Zimblade is used for a reason. Like I say, it's not the best, but it is a good build. You can take it to top 100.
So many variants to a dual Zim. I haven't covered the RJs. I haven't covered Zim Shield. I haven't covered the Zim Earshot or Zim Shoddy Swap or
Zim Shot. I think is more of a threes build. But yeah, all those builds. All the. I'm sorry, Hank. I'm gonna say this. Oof. That hit me like a hammer. Yeah, the thing about all those Zim builds is they all play wildly different. I think he'll find that out if and when he decides to continue the series and kind of go through and see why Zim Shield does not play like a Zim Blade, does not play like a Power Baka, does not play like a Zim Frog, does not play like a Zim Chimp, which is like a double Zimmerman, like double Laser Cannon or Fasan or Earshot type build. Well, it doesn't play like a Zim Shot. Doesn't play like a quad shot. A quad shot build is an entirely different animal to all of those. And there's like blessed few people that play that anymore. Andromeda, like the best one that played quad shot, is long gone from the game. But anyway.
Heidelman.
I'm sorry, what? What?
Sadly, Heidelmans are like. Sadly, Heidelmans.
What? Hold up.
Sadly, Heidelmans are.
What? Hang on. Hang on.
Haldman. Haldman.
Haldman.
Haldman.
Haldman? Hadelman? Like, okay. Okay. Moving on.
Or like the unloved stepchild compared to Zimmerman. Nobody ever talks about the dual Hadelmans. It's always dual Zimmermans.
Well, no. No, they do. Dual Haldemans or Hadel. Oh, God, I hate this. I hate this so much. Dual Haldemans or two Haldemans as two Haldemans are like a legitimately scary build. You can do an infinite punch combo off of those. Plus, with the fact that Haldemans are typically lighter on both EN load and weight, Haldemans can be used to make the rest of your build a lot more stat dense, and that's kind of what was used on PC by like the best Sim Shield player. He had so much success with it, he got bored because he took the first and like second place on the ladder with one with his main and one with like an alt account just for funsies and smurthing. The issues with Halda Shield versus like a proper Zim Shield is, for one, Haldemans do struggle into like heavier builds like tanks. Haldemans also kind of, if you don't get off the punch combo, they don't have like the same amount of punish potential as just like if you fail to punish, then double Zims are gonna just do more damage. And lastly, for whatever reason, if there's a bug or something going on with how it's read, it sometimes the Haldemans do not stagger extend like they're supposed to, and that kind of is an irritation. Haldemans can be used. In fact, they're really good into kites or boxes especially, and even in some cases Toku, because Toku and box kind of rely on reaction type defenses like shielding and quick boosting. But the thing is, both of those require resources, so they're used to the 1.4 second timings of like Zim, but the uptime on a Haldeman is so high that it will literally just burn out their shield and burn out their EN. And a lot of players who don't understand how to just straight up just avoid getting into those sort of like close-in brawls altogether will often lose those fights, even if they normally beat Zims just fine. It's not that nobody talks about Haldemans, it's that Haldemans are really a specific tool for specific circumstances. And even on quad shot, if they had to give up either the Zimmerman or the Haldemans, they'll give up the Zimmerman all the time because the uptime on the Haldemans and the punish they could do with double Haldemans is potentially much, much higher. So it's not that nobody talks about Haldemans, it's just that it's just that they're more of a specialized tool.
So this is a battle of the shotties. Okay.
And this is actually a pretty fun fight to watch. Well, I think the lightweight is a bit... Oop!
And win condition.
Yeah, I don't think the guy he's fighting really understands how to like dodge Zims properly, and that's a little bit of latency. I won't argue that.
Actually a little rough, but nothing to dual Zims can't handle, apparently.
So we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety here. So keep in mind, he's been talking up this build this entire time while also kind of like pooped on the Haldemans a little bit. But you notice he almost lost that. And he didn't talk for a bit. That's because he had to concentrate, because he knows full well the build he's fighting, just what they're capable of. Especially when he saw the dagger and he saw the AA. He knows that if he gets staggered, it will wipe him the floor with him instantly, regardless of how powerful Zim are. And you do have to be aware of that when you like are talking shit about things, that it will kind of affect your play, because you have this anxiety in the back of your head where if I lose, this is going to be very, very embarrassing. Even on a YouTube vid where you could just easily edit out that fight altogether. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I appreciate that it's got shown, like it's important, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of necessary to point out because you have to understand this is sort of like the mentality that how mentality kind of affects your gameplay. He's talked up Zims this entire time and talked down on this Haldeman a little bit. That he at this point, if he feels like he loses, it could miss the point that he's trying to go for. And there's something else I want to talk about, like a a practical analysis failure that will come in this phase.
Dear Lord. I don't know if I like this. But this is what wins. And this is what's popular.
Well, not with the evidence so far. Yeah, he's not dodging on reaction. He's just trying to, like, dodge in general. All right, watch this. This is an important part. Yep. Yep. And he lost.
Trying to run away. You can't outrun the meta. And the meta dominates once again.
No, it didn't. Let me explain what happened, and I want you to understand why he probably just about shit himself there. And if he didn't, he wasn't paying attention. All right, let's go back a little bit. What was that? What was the timing I had on that? 12:33. Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back about a minute. We'll talk about it. Right. So the moment we're looking for is right about here. All right. So a couple of things. Alpha is a double melee player. He knows exactly what he's fighting, and he knows he just lost the game. However, he is also a smart melee player, so he knows that there is a chance if his opponent throws, he could still win this, because his dagger is very, very high. He still has PA available. But here's how this guy won the game. If he pulls his dagger now, and he starts melee comboing, Alpha has lost. Because the only thing Alpha can do is PA. And if he PAs, the AA goes off, and he eats another dagger combo, and he'll probably lose. If he ain't already dead by the end of the first dagger combo, because that's not a lot of AP, and that's not a lot of defense. But this is a lot of damage, because what he can do is, if he's a very, very good dagger player with a Haldeman, is he can dagger, dagger, Haldeman extend, dagger, 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 and if he hasn't PA'd by then, he can AA and finish him off. The game is over. Alpha has lost. He has probably already thought about how he's going to do the save. He's holding his PA just in case, because what happens next is why Alpha won this game. Watch. UB's back, right? Not total disaster. It's only been a couple frames, right? He could probably still pull us back. There's a couple of decisions this guy can make from here. He think the life lead is just, I think, it's hard to tell. Okay, the life lead is just a little bit in his favor. If he QSB's back and runs away, he can reset stagger, he can reset the fight, he can try again. Everyone's resources are still there. He still has his AA, he still has his PA, but he has a life lead, so he could be a little bit more cagey. He can determine where the fight takes place. So what would he do? Would he run away? Would he maybe try to start a dagger combo? Would he maybe try to bounce in and extend, or maybe bounce in and do something else? Or honestly, the ideal solution would be to run away, because it looks like the stagger is already worn off because he missed his chance. And rather than extending or going into a dagger combo, he, for whatever reason, QB'd away. Yep, QB's in, gets the damage in, and he loses. So, but it's not the end of the world, right? Because he recognizes the problem. He's going to try to, like, run away and reset again, because he did lose the life lead, but he didn't get, like, the full, like, punish in on him. So there is a possibility he could still bring this back. And I think he about did, but we're going to find out why it failed. And it's kind of like a funny comedy of errors here. All right.
Trying to run away.
He tries to get around the corner, tries to get away from the Sims.
Outrun the meta.
Yep. He goes for a dagger sling, and it kills him.
And the meta dominates once again.
No. What dominated here was a series of, like, really poor decisions and a series of, like, really okay decisions. He, like, Alpha recognized immediately as soon as the dagger didn't come that he could bring this back. So he QB'd in, he shotgunned the guy who was staring at him like a deer in headlights, and he got away with it. Game to Alpha. The other guy was not paying attention, and he lost for it. He tried to do something really cheeky to bring it back, and there was a possibility he could have well, how do I put this? It's kind of hard to say because he did get caught on the corner. What he should have done was when he got caught up in the corner, he's at an EN, just kept going. Just kept running away for a little bit and not tried to do anything cheeky like a dagger sling. Why he tried to do the charge dagger was maybe to catch Alpha in a, like mini stun, so maybe he could land a Haldeman and try again, or at least finish him off, because double Haldemans to the face is still gonna hurt. But that didn't happen. He messed up twice. Messed up 3 times, really. And third strike, you're dead. So, did the meta dominate this? Not so much meta as much as just a series of really, really poor decisions. And that's just sort of like analysis for. Like, I think Alpha could have done this on his double melee build pretty easily, to be fair. If the exact same scenario had happened, I think this would have been probably even easier. Because I think instead of QBing in, he might have still QB'd in, honestly, because one Zim would have done it. QB'd in, did the thing, same thing would have happened, same sequence would have happened. Game ends the exact same way. The details would have been a little bit different, but if that whole sequence happened again, Alpha still would have lost, unless he threw. And he threw so hard, Alpha hit the home run. That's what lost.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm disgusted too.
This is disgusting. And now we're in a stinky, stinky S promo, so we're probably going to run into other mass-produced monstrosities that I will likely be covering in...
Spoiler alert, I don't think he runs into like a single like copycat build. I think everyone is like a little bit different that he fights. I think he fights like one total Toku.
future videos.
I don't even think they're... I think most of them were A, too.
Including, but not limited to, Power Baka, Toku Robo, Water Strider, any lamp kite, really.
Again, I'm assuming there's a comma between those two phrases because Lammergeier and Water Strider are not the same build.
Dual Etsujin Kite.
Or the same family.
Yeah.
He recognizes dual Etsujin kites, but he still calls them mosquitoes. I don't understand that. Call a Curie kite a mosquito?
Parade, and I'm part of it for once.
No.
Not sure how to feel about that.
Should feel fine. Honestly,
I get
real talk. How you get there doesn't matter. What matters is that you got there. The game is not so horribly imbalanced that like one thing is going to dominate everything. The two meta builds in question, Lammergeiers and Toku Robots, are not brain dead builds. If you go into those builds thinking you're just going to dominate, you're going to find out real fast why that is not going to be the case. Toku Robo and Lammergeiers require you to have something of like a basic understanding of mechanics, like a nuanced understanding of like neutral movement, how the FCS works, how to manage your EN, especially on Toku, because 20B generator is not a great generator for like real active movement. And if you don't know how to manage your EN on Lammergeier, someone like me who hates fighting lambs, is terrible at fighting lambs, is going to catch you and rip you in half in an instant because Lammergeier just doesn't have a whole lot of defenses. So don't feel bad. Even if you get there on Power Baka, which is arguably the most brain dead build possible, the fact that your stupidity could not be defeated by their high intelligence just means that your rock wins. Your rock just smashes the thesis paper. I don't know what else to tell you. But don't feel bad. Never feel bad about succeeding. You can feel bad that how you succeeded was sloppy. You could feel bad that the fights that you're dealing with were too easy and your opponents were bad and didn't feel worth it. But don't feel bad because you won. That's not a good mentality to have.
I need to understand how the meta builds operate, and there's no better way to understand them than to play as them.
What's really interesting is that this is not really functionally that much different than his normal double melee build. All he really did was, I think he changed like one part here and then switched the like, oscillator out for. I think he runs like a couple different melee builds, but I guess if you would consider it standard, he switched out the oscillator for him. So he's talking about playing meta, but this really isn't that far outside of his comfort zone, which is kind of important to think about. Like, he talks about mass-produced monstrosity, but I mean, what happens if the only thing you're doing to the action figure is changing out an accessory? Does that mean you're also playing the Zimmer Fool and not realizing it? Don't think too hard on that.
Rounds. So this is ultimately a necessary evil, but
We don't need an existential crisis in our funny robot game.
I believe it. Ugh. So all my double melee fans,
Nobody's like me.
to everybody who's loved me as the double melee demon, I am deeply sorry.
Also, don't feel sorry. At all. This is not, like I said, not a particularly meta build. Not a meta build on PSN. Not a meta build on PC. God knows what happens on Xbox. That's just a weird bunch. But don't feel bad. Don't be sorry. And I don't like when people like this are sorry either, because it feels disingenuous and insulting. You're not sorry for playing the build. You chose the build. You chose to record it. You chose to talk about it at length. Don't be sorry. Enjoy yourself. Let people enjoy you too if you're actually going to show people. It just comes off as really fake. Like I said, bad mentality. Did about the same thing here. So I think... Oof.
He didn't even assault armor this time, they just accepted their fate.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that life lead was so high, it wouldn't have mattered made any
Makes me
difference.
feel even worse running this monstrosity.
They just want to get to the second phase faster. Yeah, honestly, the way that guy is playing is not really great either. He is trying to assault boost more, which is smart because he has the stagger lead real quiet. He's also not dodging shotguns at all. So yeah, he's losing in the stagger race. Or is he? He doesn't. Oh, he botched it again! Oh, no! And then he botches and gets caught up on the wall. And he's gonna die.
Dear Lord, I didn't even have to do anything at the end.
Well, I mean, after he botches his punish attempt again...
Flash until it's done. This doesn't even have the same deep tech as double melee with melee canceling.
Oh boy, here we go. Alright, here's our other, like, huge analysis fail. Sorry, the adult beverages are kicking in. This is our other huge analysis failure. Because he has this build, it ain't that different from his other build, right? Okay? I don't know if he runs Kikaku. He probably does, a lot of double melees do. But I'm going to show you the very complex, very difficult process for him to turn that build into an appropriate, like, build that could do all the melee tricks he's used to doing, right? You ready? Here it comes. Alright, so first we're gonna go in the garage, right? Okay. Then we're gonna make sure we do this correct, so we're gonna make his build, like, part for part, right? So we got our Zim.
6.5 hours later.
This is the build that he says he can't do any deep melee tech upon. Right. Now let me show you the complex and difficult process to turn this into a viable, perfectly functional build that could do every single melee trick he wants to do on a pulse blade. You ready? You watching? You're paying attention? Okay, watch. Alright, there we go. Bluegle's a perfectly functional thing. A lot of Zim blades and even some other builds uses just fine. You don't really lose anything, maybe some neutral speed by just going this way, but everything's a little bit more efficient. You get more energy, you get more energy, you get more AB, like efficiency. You lose a little bit of the speed, but you're not really worried about the speed because if you need it, you need melee canceling. As far as like there not being any particular tech, this is untrue too. Because I would... What are we doing? We're getting into here because I need to show this. I may have to show this as like a pre-recording thing because I'm not particularly skilled at this thing. I have pulled it off in match on like an RJ version. But let me show you something, right? This is first off, this is the deep tech that he's saying he's not going to be able to do, right? Well, okay, first off, I got to be able to do it, right? So this is the deep tech he's talking about here, right? Right? Ah, hang on. This is the deep tech he's talking about, right? Right? Just melee canceling, right? Like, you could do that on this build. There's no reason to stop you. I mean, you could do this. This is a little bit easier, right? A little bit of circle boosting. But I mean, look at it like this, right? You can circle boost, right? And do this. Alright, you could do that too if you wanted to. That's some really crazy movement. But here's something else you could do, right? So...
Much later.
If you wanted to. I mean, you could do all that. Hey, you know, he did talk about combos, so this is going to be kind of hard for me to do because I don't really practice this very much. But if you really want to do combos, you want to purge things. If you want to purge things, you might as well get, you know, a second weapon bag. You know, if you want to do like a crazy combo the other one outside of one go, it's actually pretty easy. You just run this. Why would you run a P-foul over anything else? Well, there's a reason for that. For one, it's a good missile. But you kind of just want to stay far away. I mean, there's not the only reason to run it. It does do an okay amount of stagger build up, right? Or a lot of players have do it like this. Just do this. All right, that's a lot of stagger. But here's what you really use it for, right? Do this. Or something like that. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is... But if you really wanted to play like a combo build, if you want to put more double melee stuff in the Zen Blade, like, you can. Absolutely can, you know? You don't botch it like I just did. You can absolutely do all sorts of crazy shit. But, you know, it takes practice and it takes time. Absolutely nothing stops you from doing it if you really want to. But you know, pretty simple stuff. But you gotta put in the work. But anyway, yeah, there is deep tech to this kind of stuff. Sometimes you just have to look for it. A lot of times it's kind of unnecessary. The meta is kind of like low on like real defenses in some cases. So a double melee is all you really need. And sometimes just a good combo. So, like, to be honest, even Pile Bunker, as strong as it is, doesn't really need it to kill most of the things you encounter out there. You can get away with a Pulse Blade and Oscillator, that's why it's worked for so long. Unless you're Sirchby, who is not satisfied until he can wipe out an entire threes team in one combo if they're all staggered, but hey, that's just how it is.
And comboing. Ugh.
No, you can absolutely combo.
I like this.
I mean, you're not here to like this, are you? Like, you're here to like take these builds that you hate, these quote-unquote meta builds, and you're there to play as them to showcase them. I mean, do it, but do it objectively. And also, here's the thing that really kind of drives me up the wall. Melee is considered like a tier 2, tier 3 like playstyle, right? But things have progressed both in game knowledge and capability and what you can actually do, that if you put in the work, you can take double melee into top 10, into top 20. Are you going to be top 1? If you can do it, that's great. But I like to point out this man found 2 double melee builds before he found like a second double Zimmerman build. And I just talked earlier about someone who is super competent in double melee, who got his like irregular plate this year. I think finish top 11, top 10. So what I'm saying is double melee players in particular have to stop acting like some kind of like second class, like there's some kind of like crazy like how do I put this nicely? They had to stop acting like there's some kind of oppressed minority. They put in a lot of work, and it's a lot of work that goes towards a lot of things, but it's work that you need to put towards actually fighting things that normally anyway. If you just avoid conflict all the time and just try to do the big number, you're not going to get to the levels that you want to. You're just going to be at the bottom of everything to complain. Thermidor got the top 100, and he's one of the earliest double melee players that I know of. Bort was widely considered one of the greatest movement masters in the game, and he played at a dagger build most of the time. He actually beat me in tournament, which, awful, scary. So if you're a double melee player in this game, and knowing that double melee is not like the best play style, is easily shut down by shields and stifled often by like vertical movement. You can either do one of two things. You can either do what these top 10, top 100 players have done and simply done their work, grinded it out, became as good as they could possibly be, if not not even probably reach the top of the level they can yet. Or you can complain. You can avoid S rank at all costs. Never properly fight people at high level on these high level middle builds, so you don't even have the tools which you need to like develop strategies and methods in order to catch them and crush them, and stay at A and be blissfully happy while not happy, I suppose. But off my soapbox. There's no excuses. Y'all can do it. If they can do it, you can do it. And I believe this player is far too competent to sit there and he can't do it. Anyway, let's move on.
I think I like this.
Yeah, we gathered.
Again, I get it's one of the most popular metas. Well, second most popular, clearly, given the leaderboards being flooded with Toku toys.
Fourth most popular based upon the evidence provided.
Damn.
And really just the Zim shield.
Well, you're unique.
Okay, hold up. I'm glad we got to this. Let me find my notes because I was worried. All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about practical analysis, right? If you run into a build you don't know what it does, go a little bit further. We can see everything. Okay, so he believes this is a unique build, and he's partially correct. But what if I told you it's actually one of the oldest builds in the game, and it's like a variation of it? You would probably think I'm crazy. So Gekiro was a player on PC who has the distinction of being the very first player to get to S in singles. And he did that by playing a heavy elevator kite with 2 Harris rifles and 2 missiles. That build, since he has been playing, he's evolved from about the same frame, not too far off from what this one is. But instead of running 2 soup missiles, he also now runs the 20D generator. Or I think he might still run in GI. I think he runs 20D. But he runs a good generator and he runs an LCD. The LCD's purpose is to give him a good CQC option while mid-air that will shred through a shield and do a good deal of damage in like a medium to lightweight target. The other important function that it does is it gives him a way to stay in the air during red lines, so he doesn't lose nearly as much altitude while he's regaining his gen from the red line. If you still don't remember what his gen, I'll put a picture of him of his current build. So with that in mind, this build makes a lot more sense, right? If you think about it, but if you know. But we're not going to talk about Gekiro because that is assuming you know that. What if you don't know that? What can you do to kind of determine what a build is going to do? Because I clocked this pretty quickly just by glancing at it, and there's an order I do this in. First, I look at the frame. Obvious thing, right in front of your face. I could tell you this is a heavy frame with a lot of stability. It's not going to move very fast because snail legs are very heavy. Main dish is super heavy. Snail head is a choice, and these arms are relatively heavy as well. A heavy biped only has like really 2 ways of moving and about 3 ways of fighting. The first way it can move is just ABs everywhere. All it does is it assault boosts everywhere and it shoots guns at you. It's a big ball of stats made even bigger by assault boosting because it'll take 30% less damage and like 30% less stagger, effectively making it one of the hardest things in the game to break. But the other way it can move is it can do up-down movement, vertical kiting effectively, or elevator movement is another way to look at it. Like vert kiting is classically you just hold S and you kind of just go in an up and down movement, letting a lot of your neutral movement do the dodging. As a big old fat boy, he doesn't really do all that, so his choices are to go up and down, right? Up and down are assault boost. Well, how can I tell the kind of movement he wants to do? Well, that's easy. You look at the booster. Some like cores are going to hide boosters better than others, and some boosters are going to be harder to see than others. But this one's pretty clearly a Gridwalker. Gridwalker, up, down. If it was Bristle, then we know it was assault boost. If it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it gets a little bit more complicated because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a booster that could be used for elevators or for assault boost. And could even be used a little bit for grounded movement because the quick boosts on are actually pretty potent even on a heavyweight. But this is Gridwalker. Alright, and then we see these 2 weapons. These are really good vert kite weapons. Soups can shoot straight down, and Jav Bs don't really need any introduction. They're a high amount of stagger, a reputation of wrapping around your waist and grabbing you by the ball sack, and then staggering you. Awful weapon, awful weapon. Whenever I use it, it never does anything. Whenever anyone else uses it, it's a 100% hit rate. It's very annoying. So, beyond that, what about these? Why are we using Kurosawa over an LCD? Well, if you see how he uses it in match, you kind of understand it because the plasma spam is a lot of damage. Also, the secondary charge fire, the laser, does a good deal of damage by itself. It kind of serves the same purpose as like a charge shot and keeping them in the air. The third charge, the second charge attack, the big old plasma laser nonsense, has a big old AoE around it and on the target of the hit. So it can ground check as well as the LCD can, and being a handheld weapon and being a little bit more versatile. So he's probably trying to do the Gekiro thing, but have a little bit more versatility and gives him an excuse to use the Kurosawa. The attaché is a choice, not a great one. Probably because he's using so much energy between the soup and all this. These 3 weapons are very Eon hungry. Soup is a hungry boy, and Kurosawa is even hungrier. FB is just there to eat the leftovers. So attaché is a relatively cheap option. And I think he's using that over something like, say, Retsetsu RF, which would have been a better option. Because this weapon right here is probably taking all his mental to like kind of like handle and use. So he's probably just wants a weapon he can hold down and not really think about for very long. But yeah, but just something to think about. Use the knowledge that you have of individual parts to kind of determine what a AC is looking to do, and that'll give you an idea of how you should proceed.
Soup, Beta, Attaché, and Kurosawa. But if what I've seen is any indication, mass-produced, uniform meta builds eat unique builds for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And this is how this man dies. Because he doesn't know what he's fighting, he's playing exactly into the game plan. He's going to rush up to him, and he's just going to fall down, or go up, whenever. He's going to run out of Yen while he falls down.
Oh, wait, it's actually standing a chance. This is good to see. A unique build like this, standing up to a mass-produced monstrosity, gives me hope. If this guy beats me, then I'll have some hope.
He's going to crush you. That's, you know, part of the strength of the vertical kiting, because, like, something like a melee punish just does exactly that. Honestly, if I were him, I'd been cussing. Because that could have won him the game.
There you go! Unique builds for the win. That's good.
It's not that unique. Said Gekiro's Sandal Dance has been around the meta for a long time. Long enough that people have picked up heavy kite, elevator kite, and then dropped it and retired to other things like months later. It's been around a long time. So honestly, the fact that he hasn't encountered it and hasn't flocked it is interesting. But is it a different build? Yeah, it's just very boring. And I think it's the fact that it's a very boring build is why the fact that it is a very boring build is why it's not like super
As a
popular.
double melee enjoyer, I love to see an off meta build beat a meta build that you see everywhere.
But neither of
Even
these
though I'm the one running a meta build in this case.
neither of these
It
are
feels
meta.
good.
Neither of these are meta. Okay. But yeah, see, like the vertical kiting actually kind of throws off the melee punishes. And as soon as he gets one proper, he wins.
Oh, that's not good to see a unique build get destroyed. It does break my heart since I am a double melee main.
But yeah, this is kind of what it does. It kind of like floats around and like stat checks you because it's fat. You stagger, you're gonna take a lot of damage because Kurosawa hurts. And that's what the ground check
Oh
is
wait,
for.
hold on, he might be able to pull it off. I hope so.
Frankly, if he didn't pull it off,
Yes!
I'd be sad.
He did it. He actually pulled it off.
Because it's like
Yes, there
189
is
here.
hope for the unique builds in the world.
There's always been hope.
Thank you.
Put in the work.
There you go.
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Mass-produced
I'm tired.
meta build that you see all over the place.
Except when you don't.
It is very good. That makes me happy. Very happy.
I think this match in particular annoyed me.
Oh, there's Ricky, the god. Figures I'd run into you at some point. I don't imagine that you're gonna go easy on me.
The PSN players I talk to find it really funny.
Let's
Calls
see
him
how
God.
this mass-produced monster stands up to a god.
I mean, honestly, you could beat him with or without the meta, not meta, that you have.
Meta build, go!
In fact, it flat plays about the same way as the build you fought, except a little bit more aggressively because double laser shotguns. Honestly, you're doing fine. So the answer here would be to just walk
This is gonna
away.
be a sweaty match, I can tell.
You're fighting in the top 20. There you go.
Dear Lord, I beat him with a meta build.
Okay. Right. This comes off as really fake and disingenuous. You're at like the top of A rank, beating a top 20 player, and is top 20? What rank is he? I'm pretty sure he's top 20. Let me roll back just a teeny tiny bit because I don't remember. He's 16. You're beating a top 20 player. It doesn't really matter what you're using. Whether you're using meta or non-meta, or you're, holding a gun to his mother's head and telling him he has to throw. Don't do that, but, just putting that out there. Like, a win's a win. And I get while it probably doesn't feel as good not to do it with something that's not your main. I mean, maybe that's a sign. Right?
This is going to be a sweaty build.
There we go.
I
Back
mean,
where we were.
I want to beat a god like Ricky, but this does not feel like this.
I mean-
I want to use some double melee against this guy.
I mean, this kind of thing is fair, but don't let that stop you. If you happen to get a win on like a person you could see deemed to be a better player on a build you don't normally play, that just means either you've been build checked this entire time, or maybe you're starting to understand the matchup better by taking it from a different perspective. This is not a negative thing. The negative feelings here are unwarranted and unearned. Yeah.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
dual
kick.
defuse of kicks. There's the god at work. Capital G, God.
Also, this whole blazing mentality while putting down on the build you're on and everything else is exactly why he's losing. Also because Ricky actually adapted, realized that there is like real danger in those Zims with no shield and being a big old fatty that isn't dodging. So he kind of put him in like this funny little kick LCD cycle in the midair when he had no EN. And instead of understanding that and adapting around it, he assumed, well, this is just God. I'm playing meta. I'm playing something I'm not comfortable with. This just happens. And like, brother, you played recklessly. Like, I know I wasn't gonna like criticize gameplay, but this is like mentality playing into the screen here that's causing it. Like, the first phase proved that it was very winnable, but because you're still stuck in this horrible mindset of like, well, Ricky's a god. Like, nobody calls Ricky a god, apparently. I don't even think Ricky's a god. I just think he's doing the same thing that the other guy was doing, but in a different, more funny way. And honestly, and I've seen this build too, it's really like kick spammy. It's like power baka, but in a different flavor.
He's basically saying, bow, pitiful mortal.
No, I don't think he's thinking
Know
anything.
your place.
He's thinking,
Yes,
I don't
Ricky
want
the
to.
God, I'll bow. I'll go back to my place.
You know what Ricky's thinking? He's thinking, wow, I'm going to get about 5 points off of beating this guy in promos because it treats you as 1500. Or maybe a +1 because it's like 16. Also, I don't want to suffer like the -35, -50 because I'm going to lose to this guy. So maybe I'm just going to take him like mildly seriously. That's what Ricky's thinking.
My lowly, muddy hole that I crawled out of.
I think Ricky wants that irregular plate too.
I'm not sweaty enough.
And do you want to be? But yeah, this is like,
And there goes the God, tearing apart a meta. And he asserts his dominance. He is God. He is the best, and
oh no, a little bit further, a little bit further. This is important.
I could never hope to be like him.
So let's talk about this for a second. I'm going to tell you a story. So my very first PvP game in this game was in one of Striker Hatasa's lobbies, right when tournaments were really just starting to be kind of a consideration, when the game was still fresh and people were still figuring out what they were doing. And in my very first game against another human being in this game, I happened to be matched up in Striker Hatasa's lobby with a pilot named Risa. If you recognize the name Risa, then you know exactly how fucked I am. Risa is, perhaps not at the time, but certainly far beyond that, the best player in the game. You could make arguments about other players like Farquaad, like Bowles, especially Strider these days, but like that doesn't. But for their times, they certainly were. But at least in this time, and at least for further on, I would argue that that person was Risa, and she was certainly not slouching at this time, so I got absolutely crushed and embarrassed. But despite that, and despite that Risa has beaten me since then, even while drunk and very silly at the time, I've never, ever, ever, ever considered anyone unbeatable. I have played games against Farquaad. I have played games against Strider. I've played games against like high level JP people. I played games against 432 and didn't even realize it at the time. And he was the best player, period, in this game. So the point is, the mentality to take into it is that no one is unbeatable as long as you don't get in your head that they are. Like, have I beaten these people? In some cases, no. In some cases, I've taken phases off of them. I think I took a phase off Farquaad. I don't know if I did or not. I think it came real close. I know I've done some really funny stuff to Strider before, but the point is, um, there are no gods because gods don't bleed, and you can make anyone bleed. Because again, everyone has access to the same options. Everyone has the same limitations. It all comes down to muscle memory, game knowledge, and knowing the right sequence of things to do at the right time. Some games are determined by decisions that happen 30 seconds before the end of the phase, like a funny little chess match. And as long as you keep the idea that somebody is beatable and the only difference between you and them is how you approach it and how you look to beat them rather than focus on how they're going to beat you, and you'll eventually win, or if not, you'll get better. So, my advice to anyone is always look to be playing in the new players. Don't focus on getting beat. Instead, focus on what you can improve. Look back at what you did, see what you could do better, and then go from there. If you get beat 100,000 times, then you're better off than the person that does nothing than win 100% of the time. Because the person that wins 100% of the time learns nothing. The person that loses 100,000 times but is better each time is going to be better than the person who just wins 100% of the time. Because one person isn't growing and never will, and the other person is doing nothing but. Bottom line, keep trying to keep it short because I am starting to ramble. Every loss is a lesson, and every lesson is growth. If all you do is climb to the top of tap plateaus and walk around it rather than seek out the peaks of mountains, then all you're doing is walking a trail effectively and not accomplishing anything. So no, Ricky's
Just
not a god.
some cheap hack. That is what real greatness looks like.
Oh god, it's also cringy to act like that. Don't make it weird. Oh yeah, talking about being sweaty, it's like, brother, you're fighting top 20. And you're like at the bottom of the A and scared to get nasty.
Well, I lost to God,
Yes.
like the lowly, filthy mortal I am. And I'm running a mass-produced monster that has betrayed my ideals.
So okay. This is getting kind of irritating. So, don't spend. I'm just gonna put this out there. Don't spend the entire video going, "Woe is fucking me," when you're the one who built it, you're the one who ran it, and you're the one who recorded it. It's like you chose this, bro. And I don't think anyone in the comments has even said anything like, "Oh no, you did a horrible thing. That's terrible." Like nobody's doing that. Nobody cares. If you're playing the game that you're enjoying, and while you might feel like this is too easy, it doesn't look all that easy. In fact, a lot of this looks like seal clubbing. Like this poor guy right here is like at the bottom of A. He probably just passed his, B promos, which is very funny to find you in your S promos. But all this like crap is just unnecessary and cringy. Just, play. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about why you think everything is too easy. Don't just be like, I'm running meta. It's like, for one, no, you're not. You're not running meta. I think I've already explained this. And for two, it really just comes off as disingenuous and fake when you're pounding literal children into the dirt. So, anyway, I'm done being irritated. Let's watch this poor earshot.
A mosquito with an earshot. That's weird.
He's called like 12 different, like 5, 6 different builds of mosquito now. Oh, the PA greed. Killing me.
And there we go. Shredded by the Zims again.
Point of fact, another lesson for people. Stop putting stance weapons on lightweight ACs, or that will happen to you. Ooh, good manual name. Or good, like, starter. Also, if you're playing a kite, don't be doing this shit where you're just, like, circling around and not, holding S. And greeting your PA. Oh my god.
Zim dominates again.
Well, yes and no. Like, the fact that he didn't dodge anything, the fact that he greeted his PA, the fact that he's stancing right in front of the Zim on his earshot. But yeah, sure. The double Zim's dominated.
Ugh.
But just to put something out there, he said he is far more comfortable and happy playing in A, and that stifles his growth. One cannot properly evaluate their skill and the mistakes they're making by doing nothing but playing people either at their skill level or in this case, mostly below. Most of the people he's fighting are less competent than he is, and it shows. Too long didn't read. You can't evaluate properly in comfort.
All right, here we go. Well, hey, at least I got smoked in 2 matches, so if I get smoked in 1 more, I'm back in the comforts of A rank.
Uh-huh.
I like staying in A rank. Oh, it's another mosquito named For Answer. Etsujin. Is that Scudder? I don't remember what rifle that is. But another meta on meta fight.
Neither of these are meta.
Again, this is S rank. Of course, it's going to
Or
be nothing
rather-
but meta on meta.
None of these are top tier meta.
It's running away.
Well, it's because he can't dodge anything and he needs to reset.
Stand and fight, why don't you?
It was also irritating. Ooh.
I'm used to
Get
totem
juked.
boys running, but this is a new low.
Again.
Nuh-uh.
You know what it is? I think he's
What's
running
the
AA.
mosquito doing with Javelin Alpha? That's atypical.
That's a valid
And I don't see
question.
a lot of mosquitoes assault boost runaway either.
I mean, if he typically what they would want to do to run away is they'd be holding S and like trying to reset in other ways that they can. But he's assault boosting the reset because he's getting hit in the face of shotguns, because he's dodging shotguns, and he needs to reset because you kill him in one interaction. I don't think this guy has PA. It sounded like assault armor. Not that it matters because he greeted it so hard.
This is weird. Why is this weird?
Because it is. Oh, he's getting caught up in terrain too. That's not helping.
Hiding and running. Stand and fight, warrior, or don't fight at all. Where is your valor?
It came flying at your face and
Where
staggered you.
is your honor? I'm one to talk about honor running a dual synth meta.
It's not Dark Souls PvP. Nobody cares. Here we go.
Well, that was pathetic. Won by running away.
That's called
For
kiting.
shame. Mm-mm-mm. I do not approve of that. I just don't get it. Why run?
Because it
You're in
works.
the arena to fight, not play tag you're it. Or chase me, tee-hee-hee.
So, what we're discovering is, maybe one day it'll click, is you're kind of discovering what the meta actually is turned into. Because you see, the winner isn't determined by who kills who first. The winner is determined by who at the end of it has the highest AP. Whether the end of it is somebody dying or the end of it is the timer. So people will literally just hit you once and then never approach. Because once they got that one AP off, they're in the lead and there is no incentive whatsoever to extend that lead or anything. So if they want, they can like you with a Zim shot, and if you don't chase them, then yeah. That's why the early cover battle portions of these phases are actually pretty important. Because the person who gets the AP lead is the one that gets to determine the like pacing of the fight. And that's what kites want to do all the time, is they want to get the AP lead and they want to maintain it, force you into situation after situation where you don't want to. Like he's trying to run around corners, he's trying to put you where your Zims won't be as effective and reduce their downtime. And since you're running out of the entire time, you're running into bullets. Only issue is he's really terrible at dodging the Zims themselves, and you're pretty okay at keeping up with him. So his best bet is to try to AB away and like reset, but you still get like free shots on his back every time he does it. So, and he greets his PA super fucking hard.
Come on now. Stand and fight. Show me your warrior spirit. Show me. Show me.
But yeah, there's reasons for all of this. And he does it because it works.
Okay, I don't like you. For answer,
He's about to throw.
running a mosquito like that.
And he
I
threw.
do not particularly approve.
Yep, he threw.
Now, be gone. Please stand and fight next time. I don't like chase me's.
What's funny is like a lot of modern Zim shields are playing about the same way. Kiting is pretty much the primary way you like play high level these days. That said, it's gotten so bad that if you can properly brawl, a lot of people flat out lose because they don't understand how to fight in CQC anymore. It's very funny. I have like delightful videos of where I crushed someone in CQC and then just walked away. And because they didn't understand how to approach a target or fight anything like that, they could do nothing but just kind of sit around and miss all their shots at like 200 meters. Because they only know how to land shots when someone's coming at them.
just don't dig to chase me. They annoy me to no end.
They annoy everyone, but that's the that's
All right,
fighting.
next
You know?
match.
We're probably gonna skip this to the next fight.
Okay. You're a unique build. Wait a minute, is this a BVO like? Hey, BVO. Okay.
So that's like the first like real like positive analysis because he recognizes it's not like a true BVO. But here's a brief history of BVO. BVO was devised a long time ago, about 2 years ago, when like the first like major tournament was on its way, and like also really one of the first serious build block tournaments, and it was kind of developed as a means to play like lightweight CQC because Vientos were light and they built stagger actually a little bit faster than like Zimmerman's. But the issue was that Vientos themselves carried the entire build more than anything, because people were discovering, even before the Viento nerfs, people were discovering that you really don't need to run lightweight for Vientos at all. You can run heavy, you can run medium, and those tended to be a little bit more effective, in fact, because you didn't need to dodge nearly as much. All you really had to do was just walk up to them and shoot your Vientos. This kind of such a degenerate playstyle, they did eventually had to nerf the Vientos, and with the Viento nerf, BVO as a concept went away. Its legacy still kind of exists in a way. The Zenblade is effectively just BVO, but you replace the Vientos with Zimmermans. Duckblade is another variant. You replace the Zimmermans and the Vientos of Ducks. You can also use Sampus. Effectively, it's all kind of the same strategy. Take a really high stagger weapon, you apply a melee damage for a finisher, and that's it. It's a simple concept. It's been around forever. And it's kind of funny that he can recognize BVO like, but not recognize on his build actually kind of plays in a lot of ways the very same way.
Wait a minute, isn't BVO still kind of a meta?
No.
I mean, not a lot of people talk about BVO anymore.
That's because it fell. It's extinct. Well, effectively, it's extinct. Strategy remains.
Oh, there's the Rusty Blade. Looks like I'm getting a BV owned. Yep, BV owned.
I'm just gonna uncringe myself real quick.
It's a
There we
member
go.
of the BVO family. It's not a true BVO, but still, it follows the core ideals of stay lightweight, dodge, 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 shoot them up with your guns, your light hand guns, get them staggered, use your melee to go in for the kill.
So that's mostly correct if you're talking like straight up original BVO, but like all builds, it's kind of evolved. It kind of evolved even then. So like I said, they kind of went heavier, and even you see like duck blades. If BVO were to return, like they unearthed Vientos, they wouldn't go back to the same thing. In fact, it'd probably lose the lightweight altogether. It'd probably go to midweight. But no, BVO isn't meta. Hasn't been meta. Yeah, guy's smart. Tries to reset. Yep.
There you go.
Guy needed to have
Turn
his blade. That's actually
not as dominant with dual Zims as I am with dual melee.
so. That is one of the advantages of something like Zenblade or Haldeman's over like pistols, and that is, if he was running Zimmerman's or Haldeman's in that case, he would have had time to draw his blade and start swinging it if he had the stagger extension of either of those weapons. That's kind of one of the challenges of playing Big BVO originally, is that there was no stagger extension. You had to time when your weapon was out and make sure you could get it. But with stagger extensions, that's not really necessary. You just got to make sure you have one available on your right hand, so that when you stagger them with your left hand, you could put that away, shoot with your right hand, and then have your blade ready to go. one of the small like advantages, and one of the real big disadvantages to like duck blades as well. Duck blades kind of have the same problem, where if you're not ready to start swinging as soon as they get staggered, there's a very real chance of you losing. But moving on.
So, using something that isn't double melee does feel extremely foreign to me.
Well, it's kind of funny he says that, because this isn't really that different from his normal build, in all seriousness. And while he's saying that, he's doing much better using those shotguns than most new players to the build would. Like, he's not firing them both at once all the time. He's treating them like separate weapons. He's not taking unnecessary risks to do fancy stuff. I say that, and he's double shotting, but...
And the Zim Shell's got him. That's clearly a BVO-like. Clearly. Not a true BVO, mind you, but very similar.
So,
Look at that.
It's clear he has past experience with this build, and because of that, he's able to
Basho,
recognize it. So,
singular Viento, and Ocellus.
it's a difference between
Heading on with a second Viento, it would be a true BVO. Interesting. Very interesting seeing a Bevo here. I'm gonna have to cover the Bevo at some point.
Yeah, don't bother. Do something like Duck Blade. In fact, you're already kind of technically covering what that is now.
I'll be covering a few more matches before we call it with this episode of mass-produced monstrosities.
2 to be exact, so thank God we're not going to be here for much longer.
Oh, damn. Black Dog, shadowy figure, double melee. I am sorry.
Albacore.
Oh god, no. Don't match me with a double melee while I'm running a dual Zim. No. I'm sorry, man.
Can we stop this? This like constant apologizing. It's like, I'm in a build that I believe is better than yours. Oh, can we cut that out? Because that build is in like top 20 and yours is not. Or at least his a build very similar to when he's running. I didn't catch it. I think that other guy is running like Halcor, which is wild to me because I think it's either equivalent or less stability than Albacore. But anyway, can we cut that out? Like, I may have discussed it earlier in the video, but I'm going to repeat it. Like, being double melee does not make you some kind of oppressed class citizen. It's pretty obvious that there are people who can get the top 100, and at that point, when multiple people are in top 100, and even in like some and even top 20, I think that's the point where it really just comes down to skill issue when we can do that. Now, does that mean that you can hit top 1, or does that mean you can hit top 20 very easily? Of course not, and I think that's okay. I do think there are some busted things still out there. BE20B is especially egregious when you start looking at use rates and the weapons that they kind of like help. I think the FCS needs to be retuned. So how do I put this? So that people just holding back and spamming back forth on the controller or AD on a keyboard can't send your shots flying a mile to the left and to the right. I think the FCS could use a little bit of retuning for that. That's partly why nobody can really hit a lamb, and sometimes it's even impossible to hit a box. Like, that kind of thing just isn't really great. The predictivity of the FCS gets used in the mark. But outside of that, it's not that unbalanced of a meta. A Power Bakas will lose into kites, but if they catch the kite will be annihilated. Toku Robos could lose into a lot of things because the skill floor on that build is generally kind of high. Because you have to know how to handle a bunch of different builds on a setup that doesn't really have the best generator and doesn't really have like the world's biggest stagger punish, if you even bother with a stagger punish. So, while I do think there are some things that could use some work and some touching up, I think we're in one of the most balanced metas we've ever had. And it's one where if double melees can do fine. And if those top 20s, if those Chinese RJs, if those Sirchbys of the world can deal with a meta that's heavy in shields and heavy in Lammergeyers, then I think no one else really has an excuse, and they either need to put in the work or not. Really, that's it. But this whole I feel bad because I'm running Zims and you're running double melee is like really fake and just sounds really dumb to people who know better.
All my double melee fans out there, I am sorry, especially for this. Oh
Excuse
God.
me. I'm gonna sneeze. But again, both players chose this, and worse, one of them decided to record it. Why are we sorry? That's very funny. Ah, and he threw.
I'm sorry. Oh,
I think he will.
now I really feel like I'm betraying my ideals
I'm
and
pretty
who I
sure
really
that
am.
second shot, well, that second pulse blade would
I
have
think
killed.
I've sold my soul big time on this.
If he had just like delayed the second swing by just like a couple frames. Also, the moonlight is really weird. Yeah.
Man kicked in the face. I am so sorry. Ugh.
I mean, he played bad. That's
Black
really it.
Dog, when next we meet, I hope that I too will be running double melee. That way I can give you a real fight.
No, you'll probably just crush him.
You can fight me as I really am, not as this hollow shell.
I mean, it's only hollow because you believe
now
it.
I
B.
feel even worse doing this.
So why are we
I feel
here?
like a monster.
Why did we record this? Why did we upload it?
And I'm almost done with the S promos too. I don't want to be back in the S. No. No.
So, get an S and get it over with. Like, this entire video, real talk, has been nothing but seal clubbing. Our friend Alpha here is effectively beating up a bunch of children. A rank, while it is not nothing to get there, A rank is nothing, like, effectively. It's like you congratulations, you know how a controller works, you understand what buttons do. That is how low it is in terms of, like, base skill level in this game. Once you get into S, it really doesn't change all that much. S is not, like, the end-all, be-all everything. He's talking like he fights nothing but meta builds, but the vast majority of S players don't care all that much. For them, they got the S just so they could have quick, a decent quick match. That's it. A low-stakes quick match. They don't care about ELO. Most of them will drop down to 1200, 1300 and not give a crap. They'll just find it really funny if they match into a top 100 player and they knock them out of top 100 because they landmine the shit out of him. That's it. That's what S is. S is not suddenly better than A. He's complaining he's going to run into meta builds. All he's really going to do is he's going to run into players that, might actually be worthy of his attention and worth showcasing the strengths of the builds he's trying to, like, talk about as being, like, these cookie cutter mass-produced builds. And also, again, really funny because he was going through that top 20 earlier and very few builds were, like, just complete, like, cookie cutters. We could argue, like, the actual Burger Robo and Toker Robos, but everyone else kind of had their own take of the same thing, because once you're at a certain high level, sometimes just having something that is personal to taste and comfortable is a lot more important than using what somebody else is. It's helpful. Like, if you want to kind of understand how a build works, getting that cookie cutter out and using it and seeing what makes it tick, and then altering it to taste is how it works. Like my very first, like, serious build was just, like, the standard 432 Zim Shield, but you kind of see how that's progressed. I ain't nowhere near, like, the modern Zim Shields with their lightweights. I think I'm on a heavy RJ now, And I used to have soup. I only recently got back to drones because I moved to Santai instead of 20D. And the only reason I even had 20D in main dish is because soup is so heavy and such a energy hungry missile that it wasn't until I wanted to move to Santai and 20E for the gas tank and for the similar like recharge that I decided I needed to run drones as opposed to something else. But that's neither here nor there. It's mainly just kind of a discussion of S is not what he says it is. Does it suck sometimes? Yeah. Does it suck when you have to fight into a missile rat? Yeah. Does it fight when you're dealing with any of those? Yeah. But like, this guy's at the bottom of A, and he's fought this guy like twice now, and he's playing a sort of build that you would see in S, and that would, well, I say that, but I don't think you'll see this build in S. You would see it with maybe like a Mind Alpha Core, maybe Lammergeier arms opposed to the Noctdryer, but maybe because he just really likes Earshot. Earshot in this kind of build is actually kind of suicidal, unless he's like a demon with manual aim, and for what we've seen, that's not the case. We're gonna like mostly skip this fight because we're kind of nearing the end of the video here, and for that reason, I don't want to keep us here for much longer. This is already way too long. But
Defender again. It's the same Etsuchin Mosquito with the Earshot.
and again, not a mosquito.
All right, this is likely going to be our last
It's
one.
a threes turn. I wonder if he played threes, and that's where he picked it up from. Yeah, that should have been like a manual name to your shot right at the start. And he's trying to vert kite, which really isn't what Noctdryer is good for. Yeah, and of course he gets shown up because he's trying to...
Oh my god.
The other guy's getting ripped up because, one, he's greeting his PA.
Dual Zims, you are an absolute demon.
I mean, less dual Zims and more the fact that the guy's terrible.
Now I just feel horrible.
No PA, trying to vert move, not kiting at all. Like, you didn't even feel threatened enough to pop your own PA. This is the level we're talking about here. And
Dear
then
Lord.
yeah, and more PA greed. This is like I said.
This is unholy.
No,
I do not like this.
I mean, it's as
I get
unholy
dual
as seal
Zims are
clubbing is.
powerful. I get their meta, but ugh. Ew. This isn't something I like.
You would crush that man in
Alright,
12
this is gonna
seconds. It's
be
not
where I
fine.
end this volume 1 of mass-produced monstrosities. And yeah, dual Zims are a monster here. They have good damage output, low reload time, excellent stagger potential, excellent stagger punish potential. They're good.
So, if he does continue this series, I would want information like that at the start, not at the end. Not at the end of a 40-minute video. Dear God, no. Lead with that. If you lead with that, that gives context into all this. What's going on? What are we looking at? If I'm a new player and I want to know why I'm supposed to hate Zims because Reddit told me so, I would want to know why, and I'd want it demonstrated. That's what a video like this is supposed to be for. Instead, he started with complaints and did a lot of whinging and all that, and then we're down here to the actual explanation of why Zims are so good. And I kind of explained earlier in this video that Zims are just like the best weapon to interact with the stagger systems that are like really unique to this version of the game, or to this iteration of the series, rather. Yeah, I mean that's it. They just really are. All the other stuff that was really good are more specialized tools. Haldemans are really good in certain situations. Ducats are really good in certain situations. Sampus are the man bad's choice and are not good in any situation. Etrigens are fine if you want to like play more like a distance game. You see a lot of like the box kites and the Neo Eagle statues kind of run a red shift for that reason. That way they don't have to risk themselves to get like a proper punish in. But yeah, I mean, Zims have a large family of builds, and you could technically count double melee into that, because double melee can't exist without Zims. It's incredibly difficult to get like the amount of stagger you want off of something like a single ducat, for example, or a single like Haldeman. There are people who could make it work. I know Sirchby, I think he still ran his like original knocker build for a little bit, where it's just Harris, Harris. I want to say Little Jim. I think sometimes he'll run a shield and like a pile bunker, and of course, that's because he kind of understands spacing quite a lot and where to put his shots. It's very unique as like melee builds go. And then, he threw that out the window and picked up a completely different unique melee style. Like Sirchby is not a man to be underestimated when it comes to this kind of stuff. But enough glazing that particular C-man. Let's let this conclude, and then I will close this out.
I can understand why they're popular because they can win against a lot of builds. I even forced a tiebreaker against Ricky, the god of Armored Core 6. Granted, he stomped me into the ground like the vermin I am, but
only because
I've
you
never forced
refused
a
to pick
tiebreaker
yourself
against
up
him
with
with
the
my double
dirt.
melee stuff, so that's fake. Well, if you guys enjoyed this, please consider liking, commenting, maybe subscribing, so you don't miss the next debacle that is mass-produced monstrosities. This is not the last mass-produced meta build we will be exploring. We have got a long, long laundry list to delve into. So this, I guess, fill-in arc has only just started. I will see you guys
Not
later.
much
Thank you
more.
all so much for watching, but I am deeply sorry about running this abomination, but I'm gonna have to keep exploring the other metas. I only hope that going back to double melee, I'll have a redemption arc of sorts in the future. See you guys later. Thank you for watching. This is Unit 102 Alpha, signing off.
Right. I mean, I should apologize to the children he kicked, but that's neither here nor there. So, what can we say here? Now that I've started and restarted and went through a recording sessions over 3-4 days, what are my final thoughts? Ultimately, this guy, Mr. Alpha here, is smurfing really, really hard. I think if he took his double melee and took it seriously to the point where he was rather than complaining about fighting kites and dealing with shields or just with builds he doesn't like, if he focused on what he could do to beat those, did his homework maybe looked up those other PSN guys that are also double melee and also top 20, top 20, 30, top 20, top 30 players, if he found footage of those and saw what they were doing different that he wasn't, he has the basic knowledge and foundations that he could adapt that and get to exactly where he wants to be. But we're back on mentality here. Because he puts himself in the dirt, because he believes that the dirt is superior to the people just walking around in shoes on the sidewalk, he will not get himself to that level, because he believes that the people he should be fighting are the people that don't know how to fucking use their pulse armor. The people that don't understand how to dodge zims while they're on builds that should really learn how to dodge zims. Fighting kites that don't press their back button at any point during a fight against something that wants to be within 90 meters of them and will absolutely destroy them. Against people who forget they have PA until he's got his pulse blade directly against their forehead. All of this kind of adds up to a really poor showcasing of what's supposed to be meta, when it's mostly showcasing the fact that he actually knows what he's doing versus a whole lot of people that don't. So this is post-editing salsa here. The last outro was going to take 30 minutes, and most of it was just description of things that don't matter. So I'm going to keep it short, sweet, and simple, and we're going to get out of here and do better things in our lives. First, we're going to address what I think he might be confusing between Lammergeier and Waterstrider. This is Lammergeier. Lammergeier doesn't need an introduction. Lammergeier is on SP. Well, Gummo's on SPD. It's usually on a cheap booster, and it mainly just manual aims and stays in the skybox and is really annoying. That is what Lammergeier does. That's a blue lamb, for those of you PSN hasn't seen one. And this is an actual Water Strider. Water Striders are very rare these days, but you could tell it's a Water Strider by its 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 booster and its signature look of superiority over all biped beings. Pillager is pretty much the only one that plays Water Strider these days. There are a handful of players here and there, but none of them are as good or as dedicated or as consistent on the ladder as Pillager is. is an incredibly rare and also very awkward to, play style of build. It relies on QBs for its movement. It's very, active as a play style, and you have to be on top of your EN management if you want to be successful. That's kind of why it's so rare. Lambs, by comparison, are much easier. What else? What he refers to as mosquitoes. Let's see if I can find one. Give me just a second. Okay, so I couldn't find a proper build that I was looking for this season. So I just posted one from a couple seasons before, so you kind of understand. This is what's referred to as a Neo-Evil statue, which is a derivative of a build that was made sometime before the TQ nerf came down for the core. Effectively, it's just a very stat-dense lightweight that uses like double exogens, a couple missiles, maybe a buckler or a melee, just depending on how saucy they're feeling. And usually their whole plan is to sit at about exogen's max range, hold down the triggers, and simply react defensively, typically to kiting, but they don't have to, and if opponent doesn't want to. They are annoying, and but they have been nerfed especially. But that's kind of why I was a little annoyed by the people who are playing him, because they weren't playing the build in a way that's conducive to winning. This that I'm showing right now is the other number, the opposite of that spectrum. Etsugen kind of wants to sit around 100 meters of it or the Etsugen kite or Neo-Evil statue wants to sit and pump bullets into you. This one wants to go a little bit further away. This one's happy to spam missiles at you at long range and then hit you with Harrison Rensetsu RFs as you come in. 3PM VPM is a combination of missiles that's kind of difficult to deal with. It's also very light and very fast, but also very volatile. If it gets caught, it dies. And to a lesser degree, also the Etsugen kite. That's why some actually carry bucklers, so they can stop the immediate attacks that will wipe them off the earth from hitting. So those are the two things I wanted to clear up before we get into the final thoughts. So final thoughts? Yeah, I know, I'm not an S yet. I'm working on it. Final thoughts? If this guy wants to continue this series, he needs to get over himself. He needs to stop throwing his S promos. He needs to get into S, and he needs to prove against other players that that is more the build than it is the person. So far, all I've seen, a lot of whinging and a lot of whining about not wanting to do the thing that he chose to do, that he wanted to do, that he recorded, that he showed himself. It was basically like watching someone complain about the efficacy of their elephant gun and its ability to shoot pigs while they're shooting at squirrels. It makes no sense. It doesn't display anything other than a very exploded Ronet everywhere, and doesn't prove anything about either your complaints or what this says. So, really, if he wants to continue the series, I want him to take it much more seriously. I want him to actually look into what are meta builds and like actually speak to people at high level, talk to the meta people that he's been, rampaging against for a long time now, and actually figure out what is meta, why is it, and then put that in a way that he can explain it and kind of just come back from that whole awfulness I just watched and maybe come out a better player for it. I'm sure he can do it if he tries, if he puts away the sort of fake attitude he kind of put up while displaying, actual competent gameplay. Was it perfect gameplay? No. Could it be better? Absolutely. Do I think he could be better? Yeah, also. I just think this whole thing he gets in his head, and unfortunately he's very common in this NA side of things, where there's this belief that only the truly sweaty people get into S, and it's something that kind of needs to die out, because there just aren't that many people playing anymore. S is mostly just quick matching at this point. The only people who are sweating are nobody. Nobody's sweating at this game anymore. They're not really trying much. They might want the dominant plate, they might want their irregular plate, but for the most part, people are just, playing the game. There's nothing serious to worry about anymore. So, all there is to do is get better and try things. And if he's in the mood to get better and try things, now's a good time. If not, if he wants to continue down this road, then yeah, if it's someone who cannot learn, it is someone that will teach. And today we're going to teach the lesson that mentality will fuck with your gameplay. Because he has this mentality of like icky meta and, oh, I can't touch the second Zim because the one Zim is all I'm allowed. then he'll never improve as a player. If he won't take his double melee into S, where the other double melees have gone and succeeded, then he's going to remain in the dirt. And the only person he can blame for that is himself. He's like rolling around in the mud, blaming the evil meta for his horrible lifestyle, when all he has to do is pick himself up and, like, you know, put the work in. That's all. That's all. I'm off my soapbox. God, this took fucking forever. I want to go. I am a couple updates. I have to sit down and write the rules for Iron Tour 6. This is going to be very, very different from any previous Iron Tours before, both in terms of how it format and everything else. Everything's going to be different. I will spoil something for you. No parts are going to be restricted, at least for the initial bit of it. And that's all I'm going to say on it. Outside of that, I also need to work on cutting down the video with the stream between me, Comic, and KTN, kind of just, you know, explaining some things about Break Arts 3. And lastly, I've almost done with the script for the brief breakdowns of all the, like, mostly meta archetypes. That's going to be a long video, but it's all going to be very brief, so I'll get that done, I'll get that recorded, and I'll have another nightmare, like, weekend of... Yeah, there's my controller. It's begging me to play. Yeah, and I'll go through another nightmare weekend of editing, for no good reason, but I'm hoping what comes out of this is that some new players will look at this, or some players who've kind of, like, sick and tired of, like, the idea of sick and tired of going to custom lobbies and being, like, ran out because they want to try Zim Shield, or they want to try Power Baka, or they want to try Zim Blade, or they saw something on the top 100 ladder, then they want to give it a shot, but everyone just kind of shits on them because they decided to pick up a build that they consider verboten. So overall, yeah, I just want people to get better. I want people to stop blaming other things for their own shortcomings. And if you want to just stay in Ray A or B or whatever and just have fun, sure, go for it. I'm just here to tell you that once you get into S, it's not any different. It's just all that really changes is that the ceiling is much higher. People in top 100 are very good. That said, people in, like, 1100 ELO or 1200 ELO are probably no better than you are, or worse than you are. So don't sweat it. No one else is. Go out there, have fun, get better at the game, and stop swinging baseball bats at kindergartners. Bye.
What's your phone? Let me watch.
Are you iPhone 2?
No, I'm Android.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hold on, let me refresh. Oh, there you
Yeah,
are. Okay.
no, I'm watching.
Oh, wow.
What? All right, huh?
Yeah.
That is
Okay.
weird. Oh, I was gonna do a selfie because we were, like, in, like, okay, whatever.
We already. You know, actually, yeah. No, wait, can I get a front switch out here? Hold on. Face this way, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, wait. How's that?
I'm
I'm a little in front of you. Hold on.
There we go. Come on.
Try that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty good.
No, I'm a tall, freaky guy. No,
Alright.
you're not getting the fucking. He's not
Okay,
getting
no.
the fucking Tom Cruise treatment. All right, no.
I am short in real life. Okay, all right. We got 15 seconds, give or take.
Let's make it count. I win forever. Shit. 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 Ah, butthole.
That was close. That could have been anyone's game.